like to call this meeting to order for tonight. I'd like to invite everybody to stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. We'll start out with a roll call of officers.
Supervisor Ron Alberico.
I'm here.
Trustee Dean Borelli.
Here.
Trustee Greg Bickus.
Present.
Trustee Karen Johnson. Here. Trustee Denise Salvino. Here. Assessor Marion Williamson. Here. Highway Commissioner Jim Lausch. Absent. Collector Jessica Kennedy. Here. Attorney Gary Miller.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda for the Road and Bridge Fund, we do. Everybody should have the minutes in their packet from the meeting of March 7th, 2023, and I believe also in the packet is the meeting for the public hearing on March 7th. We do need a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. Any questions of those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, thank you. You have the bills for the Highway Department of $76,848.20.
Excuse me, are you going to approve the minutes for the public hearing as a separate?
We did it
all together.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did it together.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I
Because
think so, I
both
just
at
want
the
to make
same
sure
time.
they're, okay.
All right, you do have the bills of $76,848.20 for the Highway Department this month. I do need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Denise Salvino. Any questions on the bills for the Highway Department tonight? Hearing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Alberico.
Yes.
Borelli.
Yes.
Bickus.
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Salvino. Yes.
Motion carries. Any citizens wishing to address the board here tonight for the Highway Department? Seeing none, we'll move on to, I think we do have a speaker here tonight. Mr. Paul,
Saint Aubin. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
hand these out real quick if that's okay. There you are. Stand here, stand
If
here.
you can go up by the podium there,
Sure.
and just state your name for the records and.
Sure, Paul St. Aubin, engineer with Burns and McDonnell. We represent, I'm also the engineer for the Bonnie Brae Forest Manor Sanitary District. I'm gonna hand it over to Dave Oxley briefly. Go ahead, Dave.
Good evening, thank you. We're here tonight to speak to you about applying for CDBG grants through the township for water main replacement, sidewalk replacement in the Bonnie Brae area. Paul, our engineer, has combined with Jim Lausch, your highway commissioner, on this project. And we're here to speak tonight. Paul's gonna give you the whole synopsis of the program to apply for grants, and we hope for your support. Thank you.
All right.
So I will try to be brief, but the Will County CDBG funding program is administered through townships. That is, only townships can apply for and receive the CDBG funding. So Bonnie Brae has been working some time on a long-term water main capital improvement program. So they have some funding to be able to complete some of the work, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So we've been pursuing funding from a number of different avenues and agencies, and so the CDBG is one of them. So Bonnie Brae is located both in Lockport and Homer Township, but the work that is being proposed is located in Lockport Township. And so to that end, we're requesting the support of the township to apply for CDBG funding. And what that will do is primarily two things. One, it will enable Bonnie Brae to replace water main and keep up to date on their system. But then secondly, and what we've been talking about with Jim Lausch, is there is a decent amount of sidewalk replacement that is needed within the district. So some of that funding would also be put forward directly to replace sidewalks in the community. Secondly, or I guess also just want to make clear that Bonnie Brae and Burns and McDonnell, we would administer the whole process and project. So we're not asking for money or anything like that, but everything would be administered and paid for either through either by Bonnie Brae or through the Will County CDBG program. So If the board decides to move forward with that, then we would certainly recommend that an intergovernmental agreement would need to be executed between Bonnie Bray and the township. And in terms of what support we would actually need from the township, you could give as much support as you're willing to give, but at a minimum, I just want to walk through some items that we would need. So if you look at agenda item number 6 on the list that I gave to you, the first item would be a public comment meeting. So this would be required as a part of the CDBG application. So for example, that could happen next month, were we to receive board approval tonight, but you essentially just allow the public the opportunity to comment on the application and steps moving forward. Secondly, again, Burns and McDonnell, we would actually complete the application, but we would need the Lockport Township to sign the application. Third, eventually there would be a construction contract, so again, we would administer designing the project, bidding the project, but we would need the contract to be executed by the township. There would be a pre-bid construction meeting, we would need your attendance there, and then when we actually pay the contractor, pay request would have to go through Lockport Township. Again, we would administer everything, we would make the recommendation, but payment would have to go through the township. Before I move on, any questions before I wrap things up? Yes?
Do you know, is there a maximum per township on what they can apply for each year?
I'm not sure, but I know that Jim had a conversation with the county, because I think there's other funding that you're applying for through CDBG, and he wanted to make sure there wasn't gonna be a conflict of interest. And the message that he got back from the county was that there would be no conflict, that both projects could proceed with requesting and applying for funding.
Okay.
Anything else before I finish this off?
I guess my question would be, since I've been supervisor, we haven't applied for a CDBG grant. We used to get them through our water department, and I'm not really familiar as to how this goes, and I would need to go be walked through, held in my hand,
Yep.
keep this through this.
We absolutely, and we would essentially do everything. I mean, we would not, the expectation is not that the township would actually complete any part of the application. We would basically do it all, and typically what I've done in the past is I've sat down with township. So in a past life, I worked for the Lockport Heights Sanitary District, and we would do the same thing with Homer Township. So before we actually submitted the application, Ron, I would sit down with you, we would go through it page by page to make sure that you understand what exactly it is you're signing.
The other question I would have is, it's not a question, it's just a statement, I guess, is I would like to have you walk me through this, but I also, as everybody's well aware, I'm retiring in about 2 months, so somebody else has to be educated in
Yes.
how this has to all fall
Yes.
into place too. And I don't want it, because I know we do have, we are asking for CDBG grants in a Fairmont area too, and I don't want to hinder that obviously
Understood.
either. So if we can all work together and play together nicely, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Absolutely, and that's really why we're here. This is a project that ultimately benefits the people of Bonnie Bray, who are members of Lockport Township. So, in terms of the final funding request, we're not sure what we're gonna ask for from the county, but it will probably be in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $500,000. And what we receive, if anything, will simply be dependent on what the county has available.
What do you anticipate the total cost of the project? Looks like a pretty
Yeah, so
big project.
it would probably be in the neighborhood of, say, 400,000 to 600,000. I mean, we will kind of tailor the project to the funding that we think might be available. So the project is not gonna pay for all of the work that we wanna do, but it will certainly pay for a part of it. So this may be a multi-year phased project, which again, in my previous life, that's kind of what we did with Homer Township year after year is.
I will say also that, being on the CDBG grant advisory board, it does, they ask for year after year after year to help, like in Lockport Heights, they did it for, I don't know, about 10 years.
Yeah, probably 10 years, that's correct.
We did the, part of our areas in Homer Township, the Forest Manor, and we did that with sewer lining and water main replacement through the 10, 12 years ago probably.
Like I said, I don't really have an issue with it as long as they walk me through this and the new supervisor who will be.
We can certainly do that.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
Any questions, comments we can answer for you?
So it's basically just just kinda asking us to assist, and it's not like you said, any cost to the
Correct.
township.
Right, it's just sponsoring it, Tina, is what it
Being
is.
sponsored.
So then next, as long as we have the board's approval, next month, we would host again, it'd be a public meeting. In all likelihood, probably few people would show up, but there'd be a public kind of, it's kind of like a bid advertisement, where we kind of announce, hey, the township is pursuing CDBG funding, it gives the public the opportunity to comment, typically few, if any, people show up. But we would have the meeting and then document to Will County that we've met that requirement.
And obviously, the approval can't be tonight, you're talking about next month, maybe.
That would be fine. Typically, what we've seen the county do is we would submit the application, and those signatures would be left blank, and we would say the signatures and approval is forthcoming, so that would not be a problem.
Because it's not on the agenda for approval, so we can't approve it.
Understood, and not a problem.
Anybody else have questions? I don't
Do you know what the deadline is to make application?
The end of April. So we didn't receive notification that, we knew this was coming, but we didn't know when. So finally, end of March, we called the county, and they said, well, it's not even publicly available yet, but applications are due at the end of April.
And
Nice
again-
timeline.
And again, being on the CDBG Grant Advisory Board, I haven't heard any emails yet, that's when we're having a meeting.
Yes,
So,
still waiting.
everybody's waiting.
You got your work cut out for you.
All right,
So we're asking for your approval in the future, and, any questions or phone
So
numbers?
I just wondered, the public comment meeting then probably should be held before the end of April. Yes?
That doesn't need to be as well. What I've seen done in the past is, again, you say the public comment period is forthcoming, and then once it all gets done, you can kind of after the fact send the correspondence in. I mean, Ron, you might know better than me, but if you,
I don't.
okay. I have seen that done
And we will
before.
work together and try to get all the ducks in a row.
Absolutely.
This is what we need to do.
We
Absolutely.
certainly appreciate that.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions on it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
thank you for
you.
coming out tonight.
I have a highway commissioner report.
You have a highway commissioner's report, okay?
As we transition into the spring weather, we will be removing the spreaders and plows from the trucks and continue with gravel and asphalt patch material to start on the road shoulders and potholes. Together with the Sheriff's Department, we have given clearance to license plate detection units placed in various spots in our right-of-ways, hopefully to deter some illegal dumping that has occurred in some township areas. We are currently putting together our spring/summer project list. All our current grant funding is still in the review stage. Hopefully it will be released to us soon for some of the projects. We have a meeting scheduled for the continuation of the Fairmont Drainage Project, as well as another in Bonnie Bray neighborhood from the group you just heard from. Lastly, we are working with the Supervisor's Office on the new Decennial Committee on Local Government Efficiency Act. The supervisor will have more on that committee in his report. And that's it from Jim.
All right, well, thank you. I have no other business in highway, road and bridge fund, so,
Make motion to adjourn.
good, I have a motion by.
I'll second.
And a second by Denise Salvino, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving into our general assistance meeting. Again, you have the minutes of the April 7th meeting. And we need a motion to approve the minutes for the general assistance.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Denise Salvino. Any questions of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, thank you. You have the monthly bills of $3,974.25 this month. I do need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second.
a second by Denise Salvino. Any questions of the bills? Hearing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Salvino? Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Morelli?
Yes.
Alberico?
Yes. Motion carries. Any citizens wishing to address the board for the general assistance fund tonight? Let's see if anybody's raising their hand here. Nope. Moving on, I do not have any other business, except I do want to read the financial aid report. We had 4 new applications taken out. One application was not returned, 3 were returned, total applications were 3. Just waiting for 2 of them to return some information. Right now, we have 1 on emergency general assistance and 2 on general assistance. Other than that, I have no other business in general assistance. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Denise Salvini,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, moving into our senior fund. Again, everybody should have the minutes of the March 7th, 2023 meeting. I do need a motion to approve the minutes.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Karen Johnson, second by Greg Bickus. Any questions of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. You have the bills of $31,437.39. I do need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. Any questions of the bills? Hearing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Bickus,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Albrico,
Yes.
Salvino. Yes. Johnson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Any citizens wishing to address the board for our senior fund tonight? See no hands. So I will move on to, I really don't have any new business or old business in our senior fund. I will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Denise Salvino,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Now, into the meat. Our town fund agenda. Everybody should have had the minutes of the public hearing of March 7th and the monthly meeting of March 7th in their packet. I do need a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Denise Salvino. Any questions of these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, thank you. You have the bills of $110,837.75 this month in our town fund. I do need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
Second.
second by Greg Bickus. Any questions of the bills? Hearing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Albrico,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Bickus,
Yes.
Salvino. Yes.
Motion carries, thank you. Any citizens wishing to address the board here tonight? We do have here tonight, Nicole. You're going to, yes, ready for you now.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Nicole Murray. I'm the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity. Tonight, I changed my title to Director of Appreciation because you have all been so wonderful to be working with us for the last 2 years with the donations that you provided. So I wanted to come tonight and just kind of, how many people really know about Habitat here? Because that might gauge how much I get into. Is everybody a little bit? Okay, so we'll go quick, because I have to say, this is one of the most efficient meetings I've ever done when it comes to government, so I'm impressed with all of you. So maybe I do have a little time, right? So just to give you a little bit of background on Habitat, we're seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings the people together to build homes, community, and hope. Habitat, there's some myths that Habitat gives away homes. No. We are a hand up, not a handout. What that actually means is that our partners pay a mortgage, they pay 30% of their monthly gross income. There's a big myth that Jimmy Carter started Habitat. Actually, it was Millard Fuller. Jimmy Carter was just the greatest spokesman for Habitat. One of the things that Nicole Murray found out about Habitat when I got involved was how tangible what we do, how tangible we are. From our groundbreaking, to the framework of our homes building, to the completed project, to the volunteers, working with us, and then moving our families into our homes. And I have to tell you, what's the greatest part is you become part of Habitat. 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, you can drive by there and say, I was a part of that. Just a little bit about our program. We have a criteria, 3 criteria. We substantiate the need, and what that means is, do they actually need affordable housing? That might be based on the living conditions. Are they living in overcrowded conditions? Are they paying more than 50% of their monthly income? Maybe the conditions aren't inadequate. Do they have the ability to pay? Like I said, they do pay a mortgage. And the part that makes Habitat so great is the willingness to partner. I've actually been part of some programs where some people were actually given homes, and the partnership part wasn't there, and that has to do with the sweat equity. Each of the adults are asked to provide 250 sweat equity hours, and for a household up to 500, 16 to 18-year-olds do 100. And what that is they work in our restore, they work on their homes, they work in our events, but they are also vested in the program. Right now, our wait list, we have 88 on our wait list, and the last 20 families that we could put into homes were made up of 16 single moms and 4 veterans, just to give you an idea of who we're serving. So where is Will County Habitat for Humanity today? At one point, about 7 years ago, this was more of a volunteer-driven organization, where today it is a staffed organization. We have 28 employees, and that has to do with running our affiliate, within our construction department, our development department, our neighborhood revitalization, and our restore. We were building 1 to 2 homes, and now we are building 10 to 13. And that's a combination of new construction and rehabs. In the past 3 years, this is what's happened right here at Lockport. We had 3 new construction homes, and we have rehabbed the 8, is it, there are 2 or 7 that are there. And I'm sure you all are familiar with this, right? Just here's like a little snippet of some of the homes that we've done. This was the family we just moved in January. So community outreach and fundraising, how does our affiliate get funded? We have our Restore, which is our largest fundraiser. It's on track to do $1,300,000, and that helps build our homes. We're funded by Will County through home funds, and we utilize the Illinois Housing Tax Credit Program. We do fundraising through our Women Build. This is First Look for Charity through the Chicago Auto Show. We have the Will County Beer and Bourbon Festival coming up on May 20th, so if you all need something to do on that Saturday, right? We do our Executive Golf Invitational. We offer team fundraising opportunities through corporations and social groups. We have a home repair program, and what is in store for the future? Right now, we are purchasing this building in Joliet, and this will be the new Will County Habitat for Humanity headquarters, which will have our offices, storage for our construction, and also storage for the overflow of our restore. So that's there. This is what we look to do here in Lockport coming up. The 5 of these lots were actually donated by Will County, and 1 of them was donated by the Community Service Council. So this is where we plan the next builds that we'll be doing here in Lockport. I encourage you, if you really ever want to get to know what Habitat's all about, come to one of our home dedications. When we have it, we'll, I think I reached out to you too late, right, Michelle? After, by the time Michelle and I connected on our last one. But it just brings it all together of what we do, so I encourage you if you can ever be a part of that. And I want to introduce you to Dave and Nettie. They are here with us tonight. Dave is our Associate Director. He's going to tell you a little bit about what we plan to be doing in the Fairmont area. So Martha from the county, who we work very well with the land use department, she has talked to us, there's the Fairmont plan, and we've been a little bit a part of that. Before COVID, we were really having meetings and we were talking about what we could be doing in the Fairmont area. Our affiliate has 40 homes in this area, so we have a vested interest in there, and at the same time, you see that we do have land that we're going to be continuing on. And Habitat has a neighborhood revitalization program that right now, Habitat International is funding a salary to continue to do work in the Fairmont area. So I'm gonna have Dave share with you what we're going.
Excuse me, could you please spell your complete name for the
Yeah,
record?
Nicole, Nicole,
Mm-hmm,
Murray, Murray.
okay, and then Dave?
Dave Neary, Neary.
Okay, thank you.
So, neighborhood revitalization is nothing new to Habitat, but not many people know about it. We've been known for going in and building houses. That's what most people think we do, and only new houses. But for decades, we've been rehabbing houses, and even in the last 10, 15 years or so, a lot of repairs. Repairs overtook new home construction and home ownership. Now we do about 3 times as many repairs every year than we do new home construction. So just to give you an idea, somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 homes annually is produced by Habitat, putting us typically as one of the top 20 home builders in the United States, including all of the major home builders like Lennar and Pulte and all those kinds of folks. But our repairs are over 3 times that. So what is neighborhood revitalization? It's really this holistic approach of addressing community need. We have found that for the success of the people that we put there, we would build homes and leave, and they wouldn't always have the necessary support around them. So we really saw that need and decided that that's what we were gonna do. We're gonna change communities, we're gonna revitalize them without creating the opportunity for gentrification, because we can concentrate enough of what we're doing, put deed restrictions on affordability and income limits. It allows the folks that are there to continue to live thriving lives. So how do we do that? Well, we build on, typically we try to build on what's already been started. So back in 2012, CMAP, in conjunction with the county, did a plan for this Fairmont neighborhood. They went through all the process, came up with some great recommendations, and not a lot has been done since. And sometimes it's for lack of champion. So this was their vision. By 2025, so we're not too far away, but we haven't missed it yet. Fairmont will be a community that has a reputation for being diverse, friendly, family-oriented, growing, neighborly, and safe. It's a place where people are proud to live and where infrastructure is in good condition to support community life. I think some of that has happened. I mean, as you drive around the neighborhood, there's certainly pockets and assets of folks that are having success. So can we build on that? So that's what we do. So what we do is we look to cross-pollinate. What is it that Habitat does? How can we build on this type of things? And where are those different areas in a typical community plan that we can take a look at? So they came up with a bunch of uses. So the land use goal number 1 was to encourage redevelopment of vacant residential apartments in the community. So those are their goals. This is exactly what we do. I mean, that's the part, when Habitat does neighborhood revitalization, it's about bringing all kinds of people together, and we leverage our brand. We don't do a lot of that work, but what we do is we convene people and facilitate, bring along those other things around public safety, education, neighborhood communication, neighborhood watch, all those types of stuff. We don't run those programs ourselves, but we connect the communities with the necessary groups to do that, help support that, also potentially help provide funding through that by identifying grants and other funding sources and working alongside. But this stuff we do. So we build homes, we repair homes. That map there is, all the stuff in gray are vacant properties, sort of unmaintained areas. So there are some other vacant properties that are mowed, and all of that doesn't really show up on this, but as you just kind of walk around, so you see it's a pretty high concentration of empty stuff. That's also the outline of Fairmont. You guys are probably familiar with that. So 2 was to improve housing quality and quantity within the community. Again, this is exactly what Habitat does. We go in and build. We have a plan. Nicole will tell you, we went from 3 to 8 to 13. Next year it's going to be closer to 20. We see in the next 5 years to be building at least 35 houses a year, every year, along with over 100 repairs. When we do these neighborhood revitalizations, we really try to focus a lot of the majority of what we do in that investment. So this is a 5 to 7 year process typically as we step into it, with an investment that's anywhere from $5 to $15 million on our part. That's the type of money that we raise and we push into the community. Most of that's done through these projects. So 3 was to attract new commercial and retail. This isn't something we do, but we do have connections to commercial businesses. It's a big part of what we do. And again, we have folks and different organizations that we work with to help identify and figure out ways to attract people to the communities that we're working in. 4 was to support existing businesses. So again, this isn't something that we necessarily do, but there are some things, there are many more things on here, but what we've thrown up here, for example, one of the things we could do is work with businesses to improve the appearance of their building, parking areas, do that through programs around facade improvement, help identify funding, provide resources for those types of things. We don't do this anywhere else other than in our neighborhood revitalization focused communities. Otherwise, we are strictly a housing focused organization. Then there were goals around transportation. So again, these are a lot of things that we wouldn't necessarily do. We're not building roadways, but there are things on here in their report, pursuing constructions of sidewalks along key streets. Those are things like, as mentioned earlier, those are things we could work with you to apply for CDBG funding for, help secure that side of making things happen out there, and assist, with some of our resources in that. Off-street bicycle paths, trails, these are things that we've done. Install bus shelters and food stops to communities. So those are, we have the ability and the resources to do those kinds of things. The natural environment, this is a lot of stuff. This is a lot of the ancillary neighborhood revitalization stuff that you typically see. Pocket parks, neighborhood gardens, community cleanups, those types of things. Those are all activities that we work and lead through our team. And Letty is our neighborhood revitalization manager, so she'll be coordinating all of this, putting it into play. Community facilities and services. Again, this isn't a whole lot of stuff what we do, but we have done this in other communities where we'll help revitalize the neighborhood. Maybe there's a neighborhood Fairmont Community Center there, so we can work to provide funding in other habitats. We turn those into after-school programs, brought in other resources to make those types of things happening. Also, we've worked with the school districts, great partners of ours. It's also a great way to identify community needs. Teachers are some of the folks that know more about what's going on in your community than anybody else, because they see it in the kids that come to school every day. And then the community goal to identify the image. Well, there's a lot of stuff here too, which is again, sort of the bailiwick of neighborhood revitalization. It could be monument signs, entrance plaques, other things that are just making people feel good about where they live and creating identity. So that's a really quick, I know we had a short time frame, but this is sort of the pictures to follow Nicole. This is like what we're doing. We're finding blighted properties. We're buying and turning around. We're providing home repairs for folks that own homes that don't have the ability to do it. We're doing rock the block events, so we're picking a very specific area, a street or something, bringing hundreds of people together for a couple of days, painting houses, building fences, doing landscaping. We're building pocket parks on some of the empty parks there. We've taken abandoned homes, turned it into pop-up community centers or police substations. I don't know what all of those things are going to be. We're not going to determine it, because this whole process starts by bringing the community together and letting them determine what the needs are. And then we can help facilitate and move that stuff forward. So all I'm doing is providing you with examples of things that we've done in the past and in other areas. We've run community nights and barbecues, getting people together. We measure all this through a quality of life surveying process, which really speaks about how people feel about themselves and their neighbors. Typical question you might see is, have you had dinner with your neighbor? Did you have their kids babysit your kids, or do they play together? Those types of things to see how people are going. And we do this throughout that whole 5 to 7 year, or sometimes longer process, to gauge, are we making improvements in what's going on? So community gardens, sliding hills, we're doing construction, sometimes we have a lot of extra land, dirt that we don't know what to do with. So in some communities, we've found places where, okay, let's do something cool and build a little hill. We've helped facilitate after-school programs. We've supported other types of initiatives around community vehicles, carpooling, etc. We've also worked through some of our construction programs, providing job training opportunities, and we'll do that through local community colleges or other urban organizations, because there's a lot of stuff going on. So in a nutshell, that's it. So our next steps, we're just on the very beginning of this process. So we're going to start pushing information out to the folks in the community, letting them know, hey, we are here to be your partner if that's something you want to do. We'll be holding community meetings, starting to get folks together, hearing their input. We went through all that stuff. We go out, we're gonna, we're talking to you guys tonight, giving you a little idea about what we're doing, so we would want to be meeting with you, with other municipal organizations that work in the community. Creating a steering committee, just kind of overseeing, here's the goals that we're setting, building again on the plan that was developed over a decade ago, updating that, putting these in motion, creating subcommittees around all those concerns, and putting people in work. So, thank you very much for your time, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? I just want to end with letting you know, this past week, Dave and I met with Sicko, and they're very vested in this area. They've come to us and they're looking to build a home this next year with us there. And you can see that they want, this is their area, is what they told us. And working with the land use department at Will County, all of what Dave has kind of presented to you is because this is what we're hearing they want. That's what the need is. So we're just kind of saying, okay, because we have resources and we're really good at bringing the community together, and that'll be it. But what's most important is why we really are here tonight, just to say thank you, because your generous donations are what's keeping us all going here, and we are only as strong as the community that supports us. So with all that, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I know we've been partnering up with you guys for a few years now, and
Yes.
actually for a long time. But I hope we continue to, and I know you guys do a wonderful job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
I just want to double check, so, the community revitalization in Fairmont has been approved within your organization, so it's just,
Yeah.
going through the steps. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's Nettie position.
Yeah.
isn't it?
She was brought us
Yeah,
specifically for that.
Habitat International.
Today's the
Fan-
first, today's the first day.
Yeah, so we were throwing her in. Yeah, so it is, yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah.
All right, moving
Thank
on. The assessor's report?
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Nothing to report tonight, okay.
Oh, hold on. You have more citizens that wanted to talk.
Oh, is there any other citizens wishing to talk?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Please come on. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, everybody. My name is Luke Janchenko. I am the Executive Director of Limestone Stage here in this building. We just got done doing our 23rd production just yesterday. This room was a costume room, so thank you for hanging out in it. I wanted to come today just because I know that there's been some back and forth about a sound wall going up here, and for the record, Limestone Stage isn't opposed to it. But when we were doing sound this week, it came up to my main lighting guy, who is a union lighting tech, works on movies and all that, that there will be a wall going up. And I said, well, what about that? And we talked about the design, I showed it to him a little bit, and he had some safety concerns. And some of that has to do with the fact that, and you guys have seen them, they're hanging out there now. Some of those lights are 40, 50, 60 pounds. They're incredibly hard to move. They're incredibly hard to navigate. We need them to be able to put on these incredible shows that we've been able to put on here, that we partner with the township on. And again, Ron and Michelle have been wonderful in helping us be able to utilize this space and give a community theatrical space to a community that really needed it. Since we've been here, we've performed to 9,000 local residents that have come into this building to watch shows. And we have gotten progressively better at what we're doing. We're learning how to use this building the right way. We're learning how to rewire it and how to put control systems in so everything can be as good as what one of the reports was this week, that people had seen shows on Broadway, and our production of Blithe Spirit was as good as or better than what they had seen, and they only paid $15 because nobody in our company gets paid. We are a completely volunteer organization. Well, not like Habitat used to be. So it's a situation where every penny that we take, we put back into the company to make work. I want to make sure that when my guys are up there working, that they can do it as safely as possible. And I don't want to take away from anything in the building. I know that there's a lot of people that work incredibly hard in this building every single day, be it in the township office, be it in the assessor's office, in the clerk's office, or anywhere in between. I want to make sure that when we're going and talking about bids for this, that it does account for theater and art and multi-purpose work to be able to happen in this wonderful space that you have. That can come in a variety of different ways. I think our number one concern is if we put walls up, I don't really have a way to reach any of my lighting pipes. So the only way that we can safely do that, well, there's two ways to safely do that. Number one is to incorporate the cost of a scissor lift. That could be here, owned by the township, and we'll help subsidize with what we can through grant money, through funding, through our side, that whatever we can find. Or putting all of the lighting racks that you guys see up top, the bars that have lights, on mechanical winch systems. That would be able to come down so we can aim them while they're on the floor safely, hang them and bring them right back up. I noticed that, you know, that's not something that was necessarily in line with the sound walls, and I don't think it's anything that anybody would think of unless you were hanging lights every day. But we've fallen in love with the building. We've fallen in love with the way that we do things here. A lot of the township residents have fallen in love with not only coming to see the shows, now they expect it, but like Kit here, who's our artistic director, he lives in the Bray.
I've lived here for 21 years. I'm Kit Limblum, by the way. Didn't get a chance to state my name.
Sorry, Kit, I talk too much.
I didn't say that, he did.
But he's a board member now, and he came here one day. We just decided to start running shows, and now we have an official board, and now we have 300 volunteers, most of them being completely local, most of them needing an outlet like this. And we're getting better and better and better, and I want to make sure that as we continue to make this building better, and as we make it a better office space for everybody that's working here, and as we make it a better spot for everybody to come and play bingo or have multi-purpose events like I believe the clerk's office and the assessor's office are doing on the 20th of May, and do all these incredible things, I want to make sure that we can still do what we do as well as we can possibly do it, and as safely as we can possibly do it. So before we go to bid on this, I would like to be able to just, you know, put those 2 cents in on that, and hopefully we might be able to have further discussions about how the theatrical aspect, the artistic aspect, can be honed with that project while still maintaining the integrity of the project in itself. You have anything to add?
Well, as Luke said, I am local. I've lived 21 years in Bonnie Bray, and everything that Luke said. What I want to mention is, because we've grown, we had 5 people from other communities work as actors on this show. That's 5 people that have never been inside this building, 5 people that had relatives, friends, all come to see them and pay money, which was good for us and good for you guys. But those are more people that now know what's going on in this building, aside from, oh yeah, they do plays in that old building over there. And that does nothing but help our community.
Absolutely.
The more people that know that we're here, that know what we do, I'm sure people came in, they didn't know that the veterans have an office here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rather than having to go to Joliet. So, what we do, aside from putting on plays and making fools of ourselves for everybody's amusement, is, in our own way, we're kind of helping this community grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the things we hear a lot, even from people that are local. We have people that live in Lago Vista that come and see our shows. We have a lot of seniors that see our shows. But we have people in Lago Vista that are like, I never realized this building was here. And I'm like, you guys get the mailer, but then they had never come and walked through the building and understood, hey, there's a medical closet that you can use. Or seen the bulletin board with all the things that are going on or upcoming, and you know, they didn't know that bingo was a thing. And this is something we hear every single show. So we want to continue to kind of help the township push whatever needs to be pushed, but at the same time, we just wanted to make sure we had a voice when it came to any of the major infrastructure projects that come up here. So that's all I've got. Thank you very much for the time.
Do you know the scissor lift, what those things cost approximately? I know you said you might be able to get grants or whatever.
If you get, when I talk with my tech about this, about what it is, and these things come in a variety of different things. You've got about a 28-foot ceiling here. So he suggested a one-man boom lift, or a one-man lift. He thinks that that would be the best way to make this both economical as well as easiest to store. You've probably seen these things at any number of different airports or anything that's got a 20-foot ceiling, but these two-man lifts can be $30,000. They're a little bit difficult to manage, they're a little bit difficult to drive around. A one-man lift can be closer to 12 to 15. A lot easier to store. A lot of them are only 3 or 4 feet wide, maybe 5, 6 feet long, and then maybe about yay tall. So yeah, they're not
through the door.
Oh yeah, they're designed to go through doors. So it's not a thing that would be particularly difficult to store. They're all electric, and it would be something I think that would be more useful than just, say, theatrical work. We have lights that are up on the top, those work lights. Right now, I'm pretty sure we have to send Dave, the maintenance guy, crawling on a thing up through the attic to pull the can out and put it back in. There's stuff up there that needs access points, and I think if you were with Parkview when they were here, he was one of the top dogs at Parkview at the old building, and they had a scissor lift, which could get up to there and just replace whatever they need and come back down. It's, when you have a 30-foot ceiling, it's very hard to do it with A-frame ladders. We've got a 12-footer on stage, and it scares me to death to go up there. And
You won't let me up on it.
Not anymore. The only one that is bold enough to go up there is our lighting tech, because I'm pretty sure he's George of the Jungle. But that's that. So I don't, however we might be able to help with that, I absolutely want to bring it up, but that's our chief concern.
Is there special training necessary to operate one of those? And is insurance involved? Is there special insurance that's involved for
Yes, and
a piece of equipment?
yes, and probably yes.
Okay.
Training for these is particularly easy. A lot of times, you don't necessarily always have to have somebody come in. As I've been told, certification on something like this is pretty similar to certification for driving a golf cart a lot of times. We've done it before, and once you're certified, like our lighting tech guy, he's already certified. He can do this already. Insurance, we carry our own insurance through the building here, as is required as any tenant. So we would be happy to kind of mingle that however is possible, but we would like to be able to help however we can. Anything else, guys? All right, we've taken enough of your time. Thank you very much.
All right, that being said, I will move on to our assessor. You have no report
I have
today?
no report tonight.
All right, I will move on to the clerk's report.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Clerk's office has just ended early voting on Saturday for the consolidated election that will be taking place tomorrow, April 4th. Thank you to all of my employees that provide the voters of Will County with such professional service. I am very grateful for their dedication. We're all set for the annual town meeting, which is next week on April 11th at 6:30 p.m. We anticipate the meeting to be very brief with no agenda items to discuss. Elected officials, please remember to file your state of economic interest before May 1st. Jessica and I have been working on the details for Lockport Township's 3rd annual Community Fund Day. So far, we have 22 participants, including some new and exciting groups. We will see the return of a great local magician, as well as the Star Wars Characters Volunteer Group. In March, I met with the Lockport Township Park District and have arranged to not only borrow tables from them, but to also secure to have them loan us their party tent for free. They will provide setup and takedown of their tent in a grassy area that will be located near the food trucks. We'll be calling Julie for this prior to their installation. This year, there will be food available for purchase with both card and cash as options. If any business or group has interest in participating in this community event, please reach out to the clerk's office, 815-838-1031, prior to May 1st, 2023. Spaces are limited. Lastly, notary services have been very busy in our office, sometimes seeing 8 to 10 people a day. FOIA requests come in weekly. Our diaper bundle distribution has hit a high number of over 44 bundles distributed in the past month. I continue to work closely with United Way of Will County to expand the current program to also offer dental hygiene product distribution in the near future. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. I have any trustees with comments or suggestions here tonight?
I just have a question about because I got a few questions from some of the seniors that I've run into about the newsletter. I thought it was gonna go out in time for early voting information. I was just wondering, because I haven't seen it, I didn't know
No,
if
it's not, as far as I know, it's in the mail.
okay.
You know, we've been working on it, and we try to get it in a timely fashion, and, you know, we're trying to get it out here. We usually have it out by now. This year, because I don't know, because of the postage, because of the company that we hired, I don't know. But
Is this a different company or the same
no, it's
company
the
that we've been using?
We've been using for years, so. Any other comments or suggestions?
Ron, I kinda, had people that were inquiring on that also, so I kinda looked into it a little bit. And, Allegra, who we use and who we've used for umpteen years, I know Michelle has done a lot of work with them, and I guess this year Bev, I don't know if he took over for you or whatever, but, after speaking to them, and speaking to Pro Graphics, it seems like, there was really no urgency. I mean, initially it started out good from what I was told, that the newsletter was, programmed or set to be mailed out the 1st of March. All the information that they needed was basically there at the end of January, which gave them a whole month, and they said, it does take 3 to 4 weeks to get ready. But then there was a back and forth as far as proofreading. It was something Allegra asked us to change. We changed it, and then Allegra found things they had to change, and then it was back and forth. And the next thing you knew, it was the end of February, and Allegra said that they called and said, hey, well, now it's gonna be the end of March. And they were told, well, that's fine. Well, really, that's not fine. I mean, there's time-sensitive information in there. Early voting started on the 20th, so when Allegra tells you it's gonna come out, or they're gonna be done with it, it don't come out, they have to send it to be mailed. And they're gonna be done with it on the 22nd of March, and they're told that that's fine. I mean, didn't anybody say, well, wait, we got stuff in there that needs to be out before that?
We've been working with this company for years. They know that we try to get it out as fast as we can. I mean, I have the timeline of everything we did. We worked to try to get it out in time. It didn't happen. I'm sorry, people are, different companies, everybody's short people. I don't, we're not their only customer. I don't know why it happened.
No,
Once it's out of my office, and it's in theirs, I can't control their employees.
Right.
So I don't know what to tell you.
No, I understand.
You know.
Well, like I said, after talking to them,
If they thought we weren't pushing them, we hire a company to do it,
right,
I think I don't know if I believe that. Have we said to take your time?
No.
well, I'm
Never
not
said
saying,
take your time.
I don't remember saying that. I remember
You
saying
said,
what I
you
was
said we
told.
didn't care.
Well, I said, I don't think we told them that, hey, we've got stuff in there that's time sensitive. So when early voting starts on March 20th, and they're gonna tell us, well, we'll have it, at the end of March, and then it's gotta go to another company to be sorted and mailed. I mean, obviously, it's not gonna be out by March 20th. So,
It didn't get out.
were they
Right.
told, at some point, were they told, Michelle, hey, is there a way you can expedite it? Is there a way we can get this at the 1st of March like it was initially planned? Was any of that said?
There was no way, because it takes 4 weeks just to make the newsletter and 8 to mail it, so that's 5 weeks. Bev sent out the thing on the 10th, and then on the 24th, she corrected it and said that she misspoke, and by the 1st of March is when we wanted to have it to them to start going through all our changes. We started much sooner than that, going back and forth with the changes, and then the final last change was February 22nd, and then it's,
5 weeks.
like 4 and a half, 5 weeks.
After that.
Yeah.
So we didn't, all that information wasn't straight. I mean, it wasn't ready to be printed at the at the end of February, or at the beginning of February.
No, it was sent to be print
Right.
by the end of February, yes.
I'm just saying,
And it went back and forth because there were
But it's
mistakes and
going to
spellings
be,
and,
yeah, or can you move this way or change this? I mean, everyone,
okay,
there's like 14 people who have things inside there that we get information from.
okay. I just, like I said, for it to not be an issue for so many years straight, for all of a sudden,
But we went from
The
8
ball-
pages to 12 pages, so
wasn't the
that
last one
added,
12 pages or no?
yes,
But it wasn't,
The previous one.
but that was spring, and there wasn't anybody with,
the fall, and then this is the spring one. So this is
Fall.
like just the second time that we're doing this.
Doing 12 pages, so
Right.
they've already done a 12 page.
We did in the fall,
Right.
yes.
So I mean, it wasn't like a big surprise, you know, that we're doing 12
No, we knew it
pages.
would be 4 weeks from
Right.
the very, when we end to 4 weeks, and then about a week to
Like I
make.
said, I'm not pointing a finger, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
no,
figure
no,
out,
no.
do we have to
But
get them
there's,
the
I have it all
information
written down,
earlier?
back and forth,
You know,
back and forth.
Or
We-
do
and
we have
it
to start
stays in.
earlier?
we tried to start
We would
early.
have to start early.
Yeah,
We really,
but I've had people complain about
somebody
starting
else.
too early.
yeah.
Well,
At least
but
like a
and
month
at that point, if
earlier.
you knew it wasn't gonna be sent out at time, then shouldn't we have pulled Erin's information or had her change it in some
I
way?
had requested that,
For
but I
old-
also notified everybody,
Yes.
we need to you know,
Are they
I
gonna give us a
notified
cut on
everybody,
cost or
so.
So
something
I've
for
sent
this?
Aaron an
If
email
it's-
saying that I can't guarantee it'll be out in time.
Right.
You know, I can't guarantee anything. I'm not the printer, I'm not the one, all I do is hire a company. Once it's out of my office, I can't guarantee anything, obviously.
I understand that, it's
You know,
just,
I do
I don't
best
think
we
there
can.
was enough.
right.
But I don't, I guess I feel like I'm being accused of trying to slow this thing down.
Well, all I'm
Believe me,
saying-
we
Not at all.
haven't tried to slow this down.
Right.
There's no,
We take a lot of pride in that,
Yes,
putting it
correct.
together and,
Correct, I know
That's
that.
why I'm
But-
embarrassed.
But what I would say is
Yeah,
that, wait a
that's what-
second,
I mean,
we've
I've
got some time
had
sensitive stuff
Denise
in there
have to pull
that,
her stuff out because
if
it
we
wasn't.
know-
her.
You're
That's
not-
not accurate.
hang on,
That
let's
is
keep
very
it in
true.
order.
It is very true.
He's got the floor.
if you're not gonna have this ready to be sent to Pro Graphics until the end of March, then obviously, that's what they told me, that we were told the end of March is when they're gonna be done with it.
Oh,
So-
them done with it,
Right.
yes, not us.
So at that point, when they're telling us end of March, wouldn't it have been, you know, because it costs us a lot of money for that.
It does.
And for one part of it now, which happens to be the clerk's part, to make really no, a waste of money kind of, because all the
Yeah.
information is about early voting,
Yes.
which the election's tomorrow, and it's not out yet. So, like I said, not pointing a finger, we got a problem here, you know? I mean, we wasted a lot of money on a page or two that is not gonna make any, you know, anything make any sense to these, residents who get it, and it's talking about early voting, so, like I said, there was definitely a problem, and I'm not saying it was them or you guys, but there's a problem here, and what do we gotta do to fix it? Is what I'm getting at.
And nobody came to my office saying anything to me personally.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
That's what the problem is, there's
if
no
one of your-
communication in my office.
if somebody
I know
in the
we talk
office,
to my secretaries,
Right.
but I think, you know, it needs to come to me. I'm the head of that office. I don't think I don't tell Jim at the highway department how to run his employees, or I don't talk to their employees and tell them what to do. I think I deserve the same respect.
well, what I
People
don't,
to come in
I don't know why we're bringing up Jim, but I'm just saying that.
I'm just
if-
saying, no other office has their employees talked to and told what to do by another official than their employee.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if
And I
you're,
don't, and I don't appreciate my employees being,
well, if your employee was told that the newsletter's gonna be ready at the end of March, that employee maybe should have came to you and said, hey, is that okay, that this
that
newsletter?
employee did come to me and told me this is the timeline, and I said, let's try to get it done as best we can. That's all I can do. Once it
Okay.
goes to the printer, it goes to the printer, I have no control on telling how the printer does his job.
Well, can you suggest to them that,
Should we
hey,
go to another printer? If you guys wanna go to another printer, we do have to pay prevailing wage. And there's not a lot of prevailing wage printers out there at this point in time.
Or maybe
Obviously.
12 pages is too much for them to handle, maybe we
Maybe
need to go
we'll-
back to 8.
Maybe we go back to 8, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me, it seems like a newspaper seems to get printed overnight, every day. Except the Joliet Herald doesn't even go to print anymore, I don't think it does, it's all email now. There's not enough printers out there, I don't know. At church this weekend, we didn't have bulletins, because it didn't get printed in time. It didn't get mailed in time. Things happen. And I'm not gonna apologize for it.
I'm not asking for your apologies, I'm asking that we
But
figure out what happened here so it doesn't happen next time. And if we were told that it wasn't gonna be ready to the
I
end of
feel
March,
like-
then the other, all the office holders should have said, okay, and the March is fine.
Change the content.
And the March is
I
fine.
didn't know when it
That
was
would've
gonna
been-
get done, obviously. I
Well,
can't
you didn't know
I can
because
predict the future as soon as it becomes the past.
the other, your employee didn't relay that to you, is what you're telling me.
I'm not gonna defend my employee, I think they do a wonderful job, they work their butts off trying to get this thing off, and this is the thanks they get. Everybody's trying to micromanage my position here, I don't appreciate it. We're doing the best we can, and it didn't get out.
I don't see anybody trying to do that. I see somebody trying to figure out what happened here.
And make sure it doesn't
be
happen
corrected.
again.
What the problem was.
If I could just comment that, early voting is not the only thing in the newsletter. And so, for example, when, the newsletter comes back and we have to proof it, for example, my office, I can't always proof it the day that it needs to be proofed because I'm in the middle of my own deadlines. So, if it means allowing more time overall, that might be the answer, but, we all have deadlines. So we can't all just work under one office deadline. We have to be able to work around everyone's deadlines. So that's just something to consider.
No, that makes sense, but there also has to be realistic. It can't be like, all right, I'm gonna wait 2 weeks to kind of get around to it. I have deadlines too, and sometimes that means, might be an extra half hour for me at the end of the day because I have to meet somebody else's deadline too. So, I mean, I just think it's, what's the priority? And if it's not a priority, if it's not gonna go out at the same time, all the time, then that's
And
all.
maybe not put time-sensitive information in there.
It's not okay for me though.
Well, it's not good, I mean, our people need important information.
Right here, on the 24th, that was sent to Aaron saying it wouldn't be ready until mid-April.
So it's gonna be in the printer's hands by the 1st of March.
By the 1st of March, and then it takes them 4 weeks, and then another week for the mail.
Moving on, we're not getting anywhere, I think
Yeah,
right now,
it's
it's
not
over
gonna
with.
answer the question.
Just
All we
need
can
to
do is
do
try
better
to do
next
better.
time, that's all.
All we can do.
Try and figure out if we need to start a month earlier, because everybody needs,
Well, I have had complaints about
time?
starting too early.
I'm not worried
I don't know what
about
to tell you, who do I listen to? All right, moving on. Any other suggestions or comments from our trustees tonight? Hearing none, I'll move on to the building report. Everything's going good in the building, we did have that compressor. We had a compressor in the back that does the, keeps the fire system under pressure. It was going bad, it was kind of an emergency to get that fixed, so I did email everybody, I got a few people to approve it. So I went ahead and got that done, so that's been replaced, so we don't, what would happen if the compressor broke, the water lines would have filled up with water, and would have had leaks all over this building, and we've been repairing all kinds of ceiling tiles and leaks, so I appreciate you guys supporting me in getting that fixed. The other thing is the approval of the sound wall tonight. Again, we've talked about this for about 6 months now. We've had everybody's opinion and everybody, different ideas. We did have a sound engineer come in, and I believe you guys all have the report on that. They're pretty much dictating that the best solution would be the walls. that we
Well,
had
did
talked
they,
about.
excuse me,
Right?
when they came in, were they told that we wanna see if this wall works, or we wanna see what the best solution is?
They were told to come up with the best solution.
Well, it says, the only thing that I see mentioned in here is building and wall.
Well, I believe they talked about, towards the back, about earplugs and the doors and other medications, the curtain.
yeah, but the way this reads, it just sounded like they were coming in to talk about, to see if the construction of the new wall and windows would do the job.
So what are you suggesting, that the wall wouldn't do the job?
No, I'm just having a question, if they came in to do this study under the right question, if the right thing was proposed to them, that's all.
I asked them to come out and give us a proposal on the best idea in any, I told them, they asked me for the diagrams for the wall, and I said, if you can come up with a better idea, let me know.
Okay, can I ask again, and you might have mentioned this in our previous discussions, but the doors must always be kept open on the second floor in your offices?
The doors do not, we are not required to keep the doors open. I like the doors open because if the doors are closed, I can't hear what's going on in the front offices. So if a taxpayer comes in, or if someone comes in that is difficult or angry, I can't hear that if the doors are closed.
And I also can't hear my front offices if my door is closed.
I think it's important for me to be able to hear what goes on because of the design of the building. You know, the front office staff are the people who deal with the public. I'm further back in the building. I personally think it's important for me to be able to hear what goes on up there. And when the doors are open, I can.
What about their door, the main door entering the main part of your office?
The door to the public,
Mhm.
that door's closed.
That door's kept closed?
Yes.
But that door's not sealed according to this, right? None of the doors in here are
Well,
sealed or
that door
some?
that door is on the other side of the wall from the community center, on the other side of the door to the community. So if anybody had come up to my side of the building and walked that balcony,
Mhm.
you would see that at the end of the balcony, there's a door that we keep closed. That's for employees only.
Okay,
The door to the public is on the other side of that wall.
okay.
On the other side of that door is where the public comes in, and that door to the public is kept closed at all times.
Okay.
And then the two front offices are connected with a door to the hall, and then the three rear offices are connected. We each have doors to each other's office and doors to the hall. But on days when it's noisy in here, all the doors have to be closed or no one gets any, it's difficult to work. I would like to be able to keep the doors open. One, the rooms get stuffy, and two, I can't hear what's going on at the front of my office if the doors are closed.
And I don't want you to think it's just, the assessor's office, it's my side too that gets pretty noisy in my office, and I can't hear, what's going on in my front offices a lot of times, because we have to keep doors shut.
Right, can I ask Gary a question?
Sure.
If we go to bid on this, and we get bids in, are we obligated to take one of them?
No.
Whether it's the lowest or not, we can still say, we changed our mind or whatever.
Right.
Another, do you have cameras in your office, like in the front office or not?
There's cameras in the hallways, and, showing on our front.
I'm just saying, what would it be to hook up a camera where Mary Ann is saying, her front office area, to where she can keep an eye on it, have, audio on it? Maybe we could look into that,
Yeah,
just
we
for
did
that
look into
purpose.
that when we built the building, and I was told not, take that camera out of there. I was also told out of the clerk's office, take that camera out of there.
Well, the issue with having a camera in the very front of the assessor's office, besides the fact that we do have access to the building cameras on our computers, and to be perfectly honest, they're just distracting. When you're trying to do the kind of work I do, it's important for me to limit as many distractions as possible. I'm dealing with really huge numbers. So I try to limit the distractions, the cameras themselves, to see the movement and, hear what's going on in terms of every conversation is distracting. But the second thing about having those cameras in those front offices is we deal with sensitive personal information of taxpayers. Senior citizens come in and have to bring in their income tax information. I don't feel that they're comfortable having that on camera, or that's part of the reason we built that. Included that little cubby in my office so that they can have privacy when they're discussing their income information with the staff. So that would be my, reason to not want a camera and or, voices. My staff up front answers the phone, that would mean I would be hearing every phone conversation they have through that system.
And I was wondering, is there an intercom system on the new system or no?
The phones,
Yeah.
we can intercom each other, yes.
Where if they have a problem in the front, can they call you in your office to say, can you come out
They
there?
can, yes, they can.
Unless there's a gun
The-
in the
The concern is that it doesn't always happen in a way that you can pause it and get to a phone. We're talking about, we're talking about taxpayers and people who are sometimes very angry about not just their taxes, but about everything in the world is what we hear about. So there's not always a method for stopping and intercoming.
I was under the impression that the doors were kept open, main reason because of the heat, and we've been dealing with that heat problem and getting fans put in and such, but you're saying that
That's not,
It's just
that
'cause-
isn't the only reason. I mean, the rooms, even with we solved the food pantry heating problem. But when you close the doors up there, it's just stuffy. It's not necessarily hot, it's just stuffy, but, okay, that's, if we've gotta close the doors and have it be stuffy, it's gotta be stuffy. But I really don't like being able to not hear what goes on in the front portion of my offices when the doors are closed.
And it's possible, even if we built the wall, that wouldn't address the stuffiness issue, because
Well,
then the wall would be blocking, would just be 2 feet further out than your office door.
Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
well, we might still need to put fans in there anyway for circulation. But the other thing, that I'm thinking of, because I thank you for your time this afternoon, because I wanted to understand because you mentioned in here twice, I understand closing the door isn't an option. If it were, he also talks about reverberation time, and that addressing that would lower the decibel level 6, whatever that is, dBs. And that would bring it down to the same decibels as building the wall. So he doesn't get into how you can reduce the reverberation time to make that difference, but it would effectively be the same difference as building the big wall, is closing the door and addressing the reverberation time. But then you've got issues like doing de-escalation training or changing the policy so that if somebody escalates over a certain point, you say, excuse me just a minute, I need to check in with my supervisor or something like that. Or having somebody else in the office notice it and go back and get you.
It's just not a risk I'm willing to take with my staff. De-escalation it's a good thought, but when things get heated, they get heated quickly. And I wanna be able to hear it. It's my responsibility to consider my employees' safety, and I wanna hear it. If it's escalating quickly. And I can't see putting my staff in a position of having to try to remember the training to de-escalate an angry person at my front counter. I don't feel comfortable counting on that. I wanna hear what's going on up there. I don't like when I can't hear what's going on up there. I think it's important, and I just,
I'm kinda confused, because you wanna hear what's going on up there, but then you don't wanna hear people talking about their taxes and stuff.
because there's a difference in hearing a conversation that's escalating or raised voices.
Sure, so
And
when you hear
listening-
that, you react. When you don't hear that, you either turn it down or you say, okay, this person's fine, I don't have to pay too much attention to it. I'm just saying, I don't know, just one way or the other. You wanna hear everything that's going on up front, but you don't want,
I don't need to hear every conversation that goes up front, but when the
Sure.
conversation is getting loud or someone starts to yell, I wanna be able to hear that. But I don't wanna hear the every phone call conversation or every conversation. I mean, we see sometimes 30 people a day and 20 or 30 or 40 phone calls a day. I don't need to hear every one of those. But when someone starts to shout or get, upset at the front, I'd like to be able to hear that. But, I presented about all I can, I guess.
All right.
What was the primary when, because I by the township. What was the main priority purpose for this building when it was purchased? Was it to house the clerk's office, the supervisor, and the assessor in the building? Was that the primary, and then everything else would be secondary after that?
No, I believe, it's my opinion at the time, and I believe the board's, that we house our offices upstairs, and the whole lower floor would be for the community. Because there's the community bought this building.
But what wasn't considered at the time of the construction is what the impact of using the community center as a community center would be on the day-to-day operations of the government offices that are housed in this building. Because no one knew what it would be like until you tried.
I think this is the simplest solution to take care of it.
It's a lot of money.
Well, yeah, it's money. I don't know if I
Trucks are
wanna
a
say
lot
it's
of
a
money
lot.
too. You know, highway department trucks are a lot of money too.
Why do we
But
keep
do
bringing
it.
Jim back in?
No, I'm just making
We're just
comments.
comparing
I'm
things.
commenting
We
about the
spend a lot
things
of
that we spend a lot of money on are typically important to township function, like trucks, or
The garage.
or walls, or additional storage. I mean, things that are important to the function of the township can be expensive.
Parking lot's gonna have to be redone eventually. You can't keep on putting Band-Aids on things. You gotta take care of it and get it done right the first time. That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's what I'm looking at here too, is looking at all of the issues. You know, at first it was just a sound issue. So then as we're getting into it, it's more than just a sound issue. And really, I think the bingo came here sometime within a year or 2 years of moving into the
Pretty
building.
much
I don't remember
within a year, wasn't it?
So our former clerk had a problem with it, but everybody else in the building was fine. It was not an issue. It
Was
no
fine
problem.
with what? The
The
noise?
sound.
No, that's not true.
That's what she was told.
Who was told?
Denise.
The assessor's office has never been found fine with the sound level. It just has not come to the board until this point.
Yes, they are past assessor used to complain about it.
So do the hours of bingos or days of bingos being adjusted help with anything?
How do you wanna, when do you want them to play? At night, when we're gone? I don't know if the park district would, want to man it, and I don't know if I want the park district in the building when we're not here.
Just another thought, that's all. I'm just trying to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, and I think bingo is the biggest culprit, but in previous
But
meetings
anyway,
brought up,
let's-
it's not the only thing that is here that is a
Let's
sound
get back
issue.
on point here. There is no motion yet, but I would like to suggest somebody make a motion to approve the bid. Go out to bid for it and see what the price is. We don't even know what the price is. And as Dean has asked, I know we don't have to take any of the bids. Then we can decide if we wanna move forward. At least we'll have numbers. It's not gonna cost us much. Publishing. Drawings already built, already made, paid for them. We did the sound, we did everything possibly to figure this out. And now we're stalling and sitting on it and kicking it around again. I don't know how long we can kick this thing around. Let's make a decision one way or another.
There's no information in the sound report that
Mhm.
warrants discussion.
All right, well,
Well, I didn't know until the sound report came out that the doors needed to remain open. I think a microphone from the front office to the back office instead of a camera would be sufficient, but instead of leaving doors open. And the air conditioning, I mean, I don't know what to say about the rooms being stuffy, but, we put a lot of money into the air conditioning when we built the building, and we built the, we bought this building against the wishes of some people that, in the township. And then now we have the building, and it's costing us a lot more money than we anticipated. We're imposing problems on ourselves here by doing these things. So, the need to have doors open, I don't know, a microphone from the front to the back would probably be sufficient and would provide people with security when they're bringing their documents out. And, I just think reinforcing the walls instead of building another wall where we're gonna have to change. The additional expenses from going to just insulating and putting better doors in would eliminate a lot of the expense here. We wouldn't have to put windows in. We wouldn't have to adjust the HVAC. We wouldn't have to change any lighting or power. We wouldn't have to change the sprinklers. We wouldn't have to change any of the fire alarms. That's where I think a lot of the expenses is coming in when mechanicals get put into play. If we came in and just made a wall there and keep the doors closed. And bingo is only, what, 2 hours a day? 2 hours, 3 days a week? I mean, if we could deal with it for those 6 hours.
3 hours a day, 3 days a week,
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
that was 9 to 11.
8:30 to 11:30, they're here.
But it seemed like when they came in here, I tried to get in touch with this company and they were calling me back, or they did the sound evaluation. But I don't believe that they were asked to give the option of what do you think the best solution is. They came in here and said, we're gonna build a wall here, tell me if that's gonna work. That's what I think that they were, that's what
And
this
then throw
report
a couple
reflects.
other-
Basically, you call it.
That's what this report reflects. I'm not calling you a liar, but that's what this,
That's what basically what you're saying, because that's what I asked them, to give me the best.
well, then they misunderstood you, so we didn't send this report back and said, this is not what we asked for. We asked for solutions, not to confirm or not.
Not an
or-
evaluation on just the wall building.
Right.
Well, some of the information that I saw in there leads me to believe that maybe they were looking at other solutions.
Well, they did,
They did throw out curtains.
But they do talk about this
When they were in
Right.
my office doing some of the measurement, they asked me about opening the doors, closing the doors. They asked me what other suggestions had been made. And I told them that in the course of the meetings, that it was suggested that maybe we could use curtains and or noise canceling headphones or earphones, were a couple of the things that I recalled from the meetings that had been suggested. So that information came from me when they were talking to me in my office while they were doing the reading.
Right, but like I said, I think they were maybe looking at a couple different things, because they do talk about soundproof doors, you know. However, they say they won't work if the doors are open. I mean, that's obvious. They talked about this curtain, which probably wouldn't work either with the doors open. So, I mean, I guess they were looking at a couple different things, but, you know, they really, focused on the wall and, you know, they even made some suggestions, as far as what the architect came, you know, maybe change a few things, change it to metal studs, and some other layers of, wallboard or stuff like that, so. I guess they did make, some type of, inquiries at other ways than the wall. But as far as not having to, approve any type of bid, and, the architect saying it's gonna be in the area of 120, which is a lot. But who knows, it might be quite a bit more, so I guess we'll at least see what a bid comes back at. So I'll make a motion, we go to bid for the sound wall.
Okay, got a motion by Dean Morelli,
What was the motion?
to go to
To go
bid.
to bid.
To go to bid, do we have, I mean, as far as the bid documents, are we gonna go to bid with what we suggested, what the architect suggested, or are we gonna go to bid with the upgrades?
What upgrades? The ones that
The
are
upgrades
suggested.
that
Sound
are
person
suggested.
said a certain size studs.
Double pane windows,
We can go with an option A and an option B, like we have for other things. Let's see see what it comes back at.
Well, I mean, even if we go with what the architect said, we can always, bring up the fact that, if we did do some upgrades, you know, what would be the,
Well,
increase, you know?
did the architect make drawings yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And to, just to touch a little bit on the statements from the citizens from Limestone Theater Group, the way we're going to kinda, and I did ask Limestone to come to the building and talk to us when we were first starting to design this out, and I did have, Allegro Dance Studio come and talk to me too. So I tried to get them in part of the process, I don't know if you came, but I know,
Who did not, just
Tim came, talked to me.
I may have been out of town.
We
I
do
apologize.
have the, windows, so they slide open, so you can get to the lights. We can put the lights right by the window, so you can get to the lights. As far as a lift to get up to the higher lights, you can't get up there with or without a wall. So you're basically asking us to buy you a lift, and I don't know if we should, you know, I don't know if we really need to do that, since we give you free rent and free reign of the building, and you want us to buy you a lift too. So I guess my thought is, it's not really gonna change anything with getting to the lighting, or changing the lightings that you can change right now. So,
And I apologize,
all of
but
that wasn't taken into consideration.
I apologize, I don't know the rules, am I allowed to talk?
Not really, but go ahead.
I don't wanna cause any I mean, right now, when we put the lights up, we bring a ladder upstairs, and we've got about an 8-foot pipe that comes up from the top of that balcony. By the windows that are on the drawing, they're about 4 feet tall. So that means that in order to get to that pipe, I have to hang, and I'm usually the one hanging them, me and the other lighting tech. I have to angle my very pear-shaped self out of that window and carry 40 pounds up like this, which it's, you know, we can do some fun things to kind of re-angle that pipe maybe, to make it more in line with, easier to get to the light through the window, absolutely.
That's what I would suggest.
If the windows could be perhaps drawn bigger, or that be noted in the bid, that might be helpful.
That'll increase the cost also, and they're already complaining. I know you want a $12,000 lift, they can't get me a lawnmower.
That's a fair statement.
You know, so I'm not really, I don't think I'll be able to convince him into a lift. So, that being said, I do have a motion to go to bid. I will second that motion. Any other discussion? May I have a roll call, please?
Alberico,
Yes.
Borelli,
Yes.
Fickus,
No.
Johnson,
No.
Salvino. No.
All right, won't go to bid. I just, I'm not even gonna go there. I'll let Mary Ann make her decisions. Okay, moving on to new business, the annual report. Everybody should have gotten this, I hope you all did, I have mine here. All right, as long as you got it, I just wanna make sure that you got it. If you didn't, let me know, we'll get you in the office. Moving on to new business, approval to appoint a committee for the Government Efficiency Act. I don't know how much you guys have been keeping up with your perspective or the township rules and laws for the state. But we have to appoint a committee. We have to appoint this committee to have its first meeting, I believe by June 10th, no later than June 10th. I would kick this down the road if I could for the new supervisor to take care of, but since our meeting isn't until after the 10th, we're gonna have the first meeting next month. So, I'm going to have to appoint a committee here tonight I have to appoint 2 committees. Actually, probably should have been on the Highway Commissioner's agenda, but I will appoint them both under this approval to appoint committees. For the supervisors' town hall, or town meeting, I would like to appoint as, and there's certain rules we have to go by. It has to have a supervisor or somebody that I appoint to take my place. It has to have our township administrator on the board. It has to have all 4 trustees on the board, on the committee. And we have to have 2 citizens from at large. That's appointed by me with board approval. So the appointment I'm going to make tonight for your approval would be myself, the supervisor, but I'm going to ask that Alex Zapian sits in my place in this, for this meeting. I'm going to have the township administrator, obviously Michelle, will be on the committee. The 4 trustees, Dean, Greg, Karen, and Denise Salvino, and the 2 citizens for township committee will be Deanna Wright and Timothy Sellers.
Who are they?
They are citizens at large.
Did you say Deanna? Right?
Deanna,
Okay,
I'm sorry, Deanna Wright
okay,
and Timothy Sellers.
okay.
Sellars. So I would need a motion to approve that committee.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Karen Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Dean Morelli. Any questions?
When is the first meeting of that committee?
Well, the first meeting will be at our May meeting, which I think is May, it'll be the second Tuesday, obviously. The law states that we could have the meeting right in our regular town meeting. So we're gonna try to do it so we don't have to have 2 meetings. That will be, May 9th. It'll just be part of our agenda from the meeting, in our meeting. We'll do one in the highway department's meeting, we'll do one in the town meeting. Because also the township, but the highway commissioner has to do the same thing. The law states any township that's under, and I'm guessing, I think it was 400,000,
Yes.
can do it jointly. But we're over 400,000, so he has to have his committee, I have to have mine. This thing has to, the meeting has to, the first meeting has to be before the 10th. It has to have at least 3 meetings, and then you have to turn in a report to the county in 18 months. After 18 months, after the report is established and sent in, we dissolve the committee for 10 years, and in 10 years, we do it all over again. But the new law states making us do it. It's kind of silly, it's not, you can't pay the committee members, it's all, you know, it is what it is, so. Anyway, that's the committee. I have a motion and a second. Any other questions before
I just want to give you a heads up that I'm gonna be out of town for that meeting. But I can, there's all in just to stay.
I'm sure we resume all our meetings.
Yeah.
You can. I think you just have to have, a majority. There's something that's a that's, you know. But you have to have a majority there. Any other questions? All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Nice have it. Okay, now the highway commissioners, committee will consist of Jim Lausch, the highway commissioner, the 4 trustees, Dean, Greg, Karen, and Denise, and the 2 citizens at large that were picked, which will be Deanna Wright and Timothy Sellers. We can both use the same citizens at large. And we discussed it with Jim, and we talked back and forth, and we decided on them too, so. It was unanimous that we both, you know, it wasn't like I'm picking his people, and he's picking mine, so. So I do need a motion to approve this committee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Greg Bickes.
I'll second.
Second by Denise Salvino. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, thank you. All right. Now I gotta get back to that agenda. Next on the agenda is the approval of the Lockport Lottery, Rotary Foundation's top 10% program. I did get a letter on that, I believe it's in your packet. We have supported this in the past. This for the Lockport Township High School scholarships that the Rotary Club gives. Last year, I think the year before that, we've given the silver division, which is at $250.
I'll make a motion, we continue silver division at $250.
I got a motion by Greg Bickus,
I'll second it.
second by Denise Salvino. Any questions? No? Can I have a roll call, please?
Alrico,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Biggis,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salvino. Yes.
Alright. Next on the agenda is the resolution number 2023-1, declaring a vacancy of the supervisor. It's in your packet, it's not very long. Whereas Ron Alberico has served honorably as supervisor of Lockport Township, and whereas Ron Alberico will resign from his position as Lockport Township supervisor on May 31st, and leaving his term of office unfilled. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees that a vacancy will exist in the office of supervisor of Lockport Township past this 3rd day of April. So I do need a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I got a motion by Aaron Johnson.
I'll second.
Go ahead, Greg can make it.
Got it, Greg.
I guess, second by Greg. Any questions of the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next on the agenda, we're gonna have to probably table this because I did not receive a letter from the township, from the Democratic Organization for their recommendation at this point in time. They are sending me a letter, they apologize, it was a mishap. And the fact of the matter is, it's not really on the agenda either to vote on the recommendation. So I will suggest we table this till next month. It doesn't change anything. I know what their suggestion is, and I don't think there's gonna be any issues with it. It's just a clerical issue that we have to get through, and we can take care of it all next month as we appoint the new supervisor and we'll pass the resolution. So I do need a motion to table the
I'll make a
approval.
motion, we table the warrant of appointment.
I have a motion by Greg Bickus,
I'll second it.
second by Denise Salvino. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. That takes care of new business. Under old business, I really don't have anything. I have a couple things I want to just touch base with you on. Meetings and correspondence. There will be, Romeoville State of the Village will be May 2nd. I need to know who all wants to go to that. Please let me know, email me so I have it in writing so I don't forget. I would like to get it by the 12th. That's next Wednesday. If I can get it now, because I want to make sure it says seating is limited and they want to make sure I want to get sure we get us in there. But please let me know by next Wednesday, a week from this Wednesday. I did receive a letter from the Romeoville Senior Olympic Committee. I would like to thank you and for your generous donation to help pay for the transportation, lodging at the Senior Olympic trip. I think what I like about this is that it helps them get away for a few days from the everyday grind, and they feel like they are accomplished. They're accomplishing something, and they feel proud of themselves. Thank you. More. Other than that, I have nothing else in the meeting. I do want to go into an executive session tonight, if I could. We need a motion to recess this meeting and go into an executive session.
We'll make a motion to recess.
We got a motion by Red Dickus,
Second.
second by Karen Johnson. We are now in recess. We will go into the other room. People on Zoom will stay zoomed and wait for us to come back.